Welcome back to the Engaging Kingdom Business Podcast.
EKB.
EKB, the EKB Podcast. Here we are. I'm Jason.
And I'm Christine.
And we are here to talk about today the topic, doing business from Shalom. And so even before we talk about that, we had to take a little bit of time to get to a place of Shalom to podcast from a place of Shalom.
It's true.
And so we are really trying to practice what we are talking about and just get to a healthy place to where we're not doing things from anxiety. And that's what this is all about. This episode's all about. So doing business from a place of Shalom rather than doing business from a place of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so you had this phrase, peace in the workplace, and you wanted to talk about John 14:27. Do you want me to read that, or do you want to read it?
You can read it. Go
okay,
ahead.
John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid.
Okay,
words of
start
Yeshua.
out. I can't be the only person who has worked in a place of anxiety, constant anxiety. And for me, I have almost, maybe exclusively, anyway, almost exclusively worked in Christian businesses or churches or whatever. It's always been Christian places. And so it doesn't matter if you're doing things for God, if you are still in a place of anxiety. And, you know, oftentimes, and this happens to me even now, right now I'm in this little 2-month place of rest. That's what the Lord has
You're
had
right
me
in the
do.
middle of it, right? June 1 is...
Yeah, actually very center, which
Yep.
is nice. Let me just tell
Good.
you, this has been so cool. But the funny thing is I didn't know how much anxiety I was living in all the time.
Wow.
It took me almost an entire month to even get to rest, to get to the place of rest.
Yeah, wow.
And it is a mind thing for me.
Really?
It's not just a doing thing. Most people think, well, if I quit doing it, then I'll be good. No, you've gotten yourself into this place of stress.
Well, the phrase that stood out to me was, do not let your hearts be troubled. So you had a troubled heart?
Apparently.
Apparently.
But the funny thing is, I didn't know it.
Right.
I mean, I was just living my life like I always do. And, you know, everybody's telling me, this is happening to you because you're stressed. I'm like, I don't feel stressed. I feel
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
And apparently I just was living constantly in this go, 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 please everybody. How can I get everything done to please everyone all the time?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was living in.
It just became normal, and you didn't realize your normal was terrible.
Right. And I remember this happened to me one other time in my life. I was in full-time ministry as a worship leader and a youth pastor. And I had been for years. And then I got married to an Army guy and had to move where he was.
Yeah.
And when I did, I thought I was taking just a break from full-time ministry for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did not realize what kind of stress I was under until I was done being stressed. Because once I was with him and then not doing this full-time job trying to please my pastor, which is what I was doing.
Yeah.
It was constant, like, how can I make him not hate me? You know, can I get everything done in time? Am I doing everything he wants me to do? All this all the time. And I didn't realize how much I was doing that till I was out of it. Same thing happened to me this time. And I feel like, except for I wasn't really pleasing a certain person, I was just trying to please everyone in life. And what the Lord said in that scripture really stood out to me, because it really, we were engaging about this, and he reminded me of that scripture. And he doesn't give as the world gives. And all the businesses in the world, everybody functions off of stress. It's like that's an encouraged place to be. In the workplace is this place of trying to keep up, making sure you're putting out the work at the right time, making sure that everybody's going at full capacity. And it's always stress, stress, stress. This is how you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord doesn't give like that.
Yeah.
Shalom in a kingdom business doesn't happen like that.
Right.
It has to come from him.
Exactly.
And it has to be a way that he gives it.
Yes.
And how, I guess I just wanted to say, how do we do this in our kingdom business?
Mm-hmm.
How do we create this atmosphere of shalom instead of atmosphere of anxiety?
Yeah.
Because we've been through church planning stuff and dealt with the anxiety part.
Right. Well, I can tell a little bit of that story unless you want to tell it, but I wrote out my peace I give you, and it's the peace of Yeshua, and he gives it to us. So it's not anything that we work or strive for. And it's his, so it's not anything that we can attain on our own. So it's truly a depending on him to be your source of shalom in life and also in business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can look to him to give that to us. So let's, I guess, give some practical implications here. So one of the phrases that we wrote down, we said an atmosphere of peace, and then we talked a little bit about, or want to talk a little bit about how that births an atmosphere of appreciation. Mm-hmm. Atmosphere of appreciation. Mm-hmm. So do you want to talk about me being crazy on Sunday mornings? Do you want me to talk about
can't.
Okay, so back in, long story short, back in 2010, I moved from Houston to Wichita to be a church planter / campus pastor. So we started a church Sunday mornings, and we rented a recreation center. And so we had all of our church stuff in a trailer. And so we would get there roughly 2.5 hours before our first service started. And we would have to unload the trailer and like set up the entire church, like kids ministry, worship, music, lights, sound, audio, all that stuff, hospitality, all of those things, and set up the entire space. And so being the pastor, of that location, I was also in charge of making sure that everything got set up and blah, blah, blah. So there were some mornings where I would get there and I would just be in this state of anxiety or be grumpy or whatever it was that morning. And the volunteers always knew right out of the gate if I was in good mood or bad mood. And so it was kind of like I'd show up and I'd be like, why is that this way? And who did this? And blah, blah. And so then all of a sudden I'm just creating this heightened atmosphere of stress. And so everybody's like walking on eggshells and like, oh, Pastor Jason's in a bad mood this morning, or I would show up and I'd be in a good mood. They're like, oh, I'm so glad Jason's in a good mood today. But I had the power to shift the atmosphere into a place of peace or into a place of stress, depending on my words and my attitude. Mm-hmm. And so something I rarely did, I don't know that I ever did it, was show up in a state of rest or shalom. And I didn't even truly understand this concept until, like, hindsight, looking back and saying, oh, man, I really did affect that place, mm-hmm. whether or not I was in a good or bad mood, mm-hmm. right?
I remember...
Uh-oh, here we go.
No, this is funny, but I remember the first time I saw you serving from a place of rest.
Yes.
And I actually had gotten into the habit of saying, don't ask Jason, figure out a different way. Because I knew you were always stressed and you would probably jump down their throat. And so this became habit. And it was weird, actually, when I saw you for the first time serving from this place of rest. I was like, wow, this is who he's really supposed to be. And I saw how you affected so many people just by serving out of love. Mm-hmm. And boy, it was different.
Yeah.
And it was pretty awesome to see. And I thought, wow, how come we haven't fostered this environment where he could just serve out of rest?
Yeah.
And peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I think the way that kind of, so real quick, just to hit on the atmosphere of appreciation, like you really start to again, be grateful, like you're expressing gratitude now, that from that place of peace, there was a heart of gratitude towards me stepping into who I truly was and serving from a place of peace rather than a place of stress. And so, yeah, I mean, take what you will from that idea. Number one, you have as a business owner, as a worker, employee, whatever you are listening to this, you have the power to foster an environment in your workplace, in your meetings, on your Zoom calls, on your phone calls, over lunch, over coffee. You can be the one that is the person of peace. What is it? Those who blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be known as sons of God. Mm-hmm. And so the Son of God seeks to make peace where there is none. Mm-hmm. And so you can truly foster those environments in every place of business. So let me just tell you a quick story. So recently we were in a chat message on Signal, our business, Tove Media, and Darren, my business partner, had said that he had a potential client for us, and that client wanted certain services and sent me a link to watch a video that they wanted something similar. And I wasn't in a good place when he sent that. And so when he sent it, I was like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. I don't want to do that. It's like, I just, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, as business owners, we get to decide what we do and what we don't do. And so that was kind of that. And I think what we ended up saying was, well, let's just do a Zoom call and figure out what they need. But, I don't think that we want to do those services. And maybe we can do something else for them. Well, then after that, I had a heart change, and it was interesting because I then messaged Darren again. I said, hey, tell me who they are and what they want. Like, tell me this again. And for some reason at that point, I was just in a better place. And so he started telling me what they needed. It's like, oh yeah, man, we could do this, and that. And I started getting vision for it. And I'm like, yeah, we can do let's do the whole package, man. Let's see if we can get this client, which is a complete 180 from before, when I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But most of the time when I'm in a state of stress, the idea of taking on anything else seems too much. It's more stress. It's too much. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to do nothing. I don't want to do anything, But as a business owner, we're trying to grow business, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. It's like, no, Jason, that's not healthy. So the Lord, I guess, brought me to my senses, and I was in a better place at that point in time, not in this state of stress. And so I think that's the practicality too. Like, if you catch yourself, you don't always have to make decisions right in that moment or in a state of stress. You can ask for time. You can say, hey, let me get back to you in an hour. Hey, let me get back to you later today. Hey, let's sleep on this. Let me get back to you tomorrow. And just be aware.
Yeah.
I mean, we're aware. You were aware just before we hit record on the podcast. You said, hey, I need to press in because I'm not at Shalom, mm-hmm. or I'm not in Shalom. And I'm like, well, that's great. And that happens to me too. Like, if I'm freaking out, if my mind is racing, if my heart is beating, if my heart is troubled, as mm-hmm. Yeshua put it, like, I can take a moment and say, hey, I got to get to a place of peace real quick because this isn't going to be good. And just even earlier last week, I messaged you and said, hey, I'm not in a good place. I can't record today.
Right.
And you showed me grace, and I appreciated it. But,
I'm a good business partner.
Yeah. But I wasn't in a good place. Yeah. And I think you just kind of have to have grace for people and just like, hey, I'm not okay.
That's way more important. And what if I would have said, too bad, we're doing it anyway? Then all of a sudden, it would be the suckiest podcast. It would mm-hmm. not be from Shalom. It would not be from Yeshua.
And I would not have been grateful for you making me do something I didn't want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious that we should always choose Shalom.
For sure.
I mean, when we step outside of that, it's not going to be fruitful. And, I was thinking about another business that I have, and, I have a large team, and I remember there was this time when I was helping someone hit their goal at the end of the month. And this is how it worked. at the end of every month, you have this opportunity. It's all during the month, but the whole month culminates into a promotion, which means more pay, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so you always want a promotion. And so I'm helping this person do it. And we are working our freaking tails off literally until midnight strikes.
Yeah.
And we don't know if we hit it or not in time because
Right.
it's like the button wasn't loading right,
Yeah.
and we're stressed.
Yeah.
High stress.
Oh my gosh.
The whole time the high stress happened and everyone promoted. It was great.
Oh, good.
But you know what? Nobody worked after that
Uh-huh.
because everybody was done being stressed.
Yeah.
It was not fruitful because it came out of stress.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there was a time when I said, we're not doing anything focused on business. But we're just going to invite anybody who loves our product and anybody who sells the product, anybody who wants to over for a barbecue, and we're just going to enjoy one another's company and drink the product that we sell.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great. One of the most fruitful times, and everybody started working after that.
Yeah.
Why? Because we were fostering an atmosphere of peace,
Mm-hmm.
an atmosphere of joy,
Yeah.
of family,
Yeah.
of friendship,
Mm-hmm.
all of this. And there's so much fruit that comes out of that
Right.
that's way better than working so hard you're stressing to the last minute,
Yeah.
So we just have to choose a different way.
Sure. Yeah. And, one of the things that I thought about when I was considering this episode about business from a place of peace or shalom was just that in our business with Tove Media and even with Engaging Kingdom Business, like things take time and you have vision, you get excited, you got a lot of things you want to do, but it takes time. And sometimes, I don't know, it's like we want to get a lot done. You have to work to get work, that kind of thing, right? Like trying to do the podcast or trying to do all these different things to try and get business. But, I've come to be in a place where I'm okay to let things take the time that they're going to take rather than trying to rush things. And so that's been really good for me too. Like even with Tove, and we've talked about it, it's like, hey, we're all confident that the Lord is going to do what he's going to do. And we don't have to strive. And that's been like a huge thing, especially with Tove Media. We've been saying we're not going to strive. Like we're just not going to do it. Nobody wants another job.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want another job. We want to build a business that we want to be a part of that doesn't feel like work and that isn't the typical 9 to 5 that we're all accustomed to.
Right.
And we're trying to get out of that.
Right.
We're not trying to make a bigger burden for ourselves. We don't want another job on top of the job that we already have.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it takes time to build the business outside of work hours, but we're okay with that taking a little bit longer if it means that we're not striving.
Wow.
And I think that's a big deal.
That is a big
And I think we've done that with this too.
That's a goal. Well,
Any final thoughts?
I don't know. I think that the main thing we need to do is not just try to be in peace, but really receive it from Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what you said. You said, my peace I give you.
Yeah,
We have to source from him, not from ourselves.
for sure.
We can't just manifest some worldly peace. We have
It's
to
true.
make sure that what we're doing comes from him. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we say this all the time, but at every turn, we have to just focus back in. And we have to get there, We
Mm-hmm.
have to just receive that peace from him.
And most of the time, it just takes a moment. You
It could take 30
right?
seconds.
How long does it take for electricity to power something when you plug it into a socket? Immediately. You plug in and you're there.
Right.
You're not waiting on like, well, I wish the electricity would flow already. It's like as soon, most of the time you just focus in, you get there and boom. It's like
It's true.
he's ready to give
Mm.
if you're ready to receive. Go ask the Lord. She puts her hands up.
I'm receiving the peace right now.
That's awesome. That's great. So if you don't know, we put out our podcast audio, but we also post these videos, our recording videos on your YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just go to YouTube and type in Christine Smith, right?
Yep.
And she'll pop right up.
I'll be the first up there.
Yep. And then you can follow her, and then you can watch the videos of our Engaging Kingdom Business podcast recordings and see things like Christine raising her hands to receive the shalom from the Lord.
That's right.
That's awesome. As always, check out engagingkingdom.biz for more of what we have going on our website. What are some of the things that we're offering, Christine?
My favorite thing is the Engaging Kingdom Business course.
The course.
I mean, it has
Of course,
been...
the course.
Of course, the course. It has been the most fruitful of everything that we have, I think.
Yeah.
Just to hear people's testimonies after they've gone through it and how their business has shifted, and even how just personally they have shifted into a tighter relationship with the Lord, but how fruitful it's been in their businesses is just really, it's so cool to hear that stuff. And so that's the main thing I think I would say. Go check that out.
Go check it out.
Do it.
It's 10 sessions, and it's super practical. So we take a little bit of time and we do a teaching on a concept, and then we give you homework. And so there's a workbook, and there's a PDF download worksheet after every session. So there are 10 sheets. So you watch it, and then you do the sheet, you do the worksheet, and that's where things really happen, because we encourage you to go to the Lord with all that stuff. And
yeah, the workbook is like the best part of it, I think. I mean,
for
hey,
sure.
we're pretty good teachers and stuff, but the workbooks are the best, because that's when you really dig in deep with the Lord. And that's how transformation happens, and that's how the Lord starts revealing what he wants for your business. And so, that's the best. We also do personal consultations. For Jason, he does all the marketing, media, SEO weirdness. I was like, SEO, what does that even mean?
Man, I've got some good SEO stories. Maybe we ought to do an episode on SEO.
We should. And then I can learn something in life.
You could learn something for sure. Yeah. That'll be super practical.
Yeah. So anyway, we do that stuff too. We have a group that is for people to come and who've gone through the course and want to really gather together and network and grow together. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. What else? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Boom. Go engagingkingdom.biz.
Yep. Go check it out. And we will catch you for another EKB podcast episode in the near future.